UKLC is presented by Barclays and Curry's PC World.
Welcome back to the UKLC. We're gearing up for our third game of the day. It's going to be Bulldog Esports versus Barrage Academy. Barrage have one win on the board. Bulldog yet to get anything. And they have obviously brought in a new jungler in the form of Demo, who had quite an explosive performance yesterday. Obviously didn't manage to get them their first win, but he definitely tried really hard to have an impact on that Lee Sin. Maybe a little bit overzealous at times, but you could see some glimmers of positivity. And I think I'm still convinced it was the positive change over Fortel.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some issues I had. The build path where he went Spirit Visage into Titanic Hydra, I think he was building when the game finished. I was a bit... And there was definitely some plays where it started okay, and then he's just forced it too much. So some teething issues, but I definitely prefer a player who's being proactive like that and it backfiring than one who's just not doing anything. So it's not a huge positive change yet, but I think it has potential to come together. And hopefully this Bulldog lineup can find something. I think Thomas Go looked really good yesterday in the Cassiopeia. I think he could be the star for the team if they're able to find the consistency. But if we're talking about a team finding their footing, then Barrage is definitely the story for that. KDO was an absolute monster, but big surprise was just Afro Boy was unleashed yesterday. He wasn't on these heavy ganking junglers like the Lee Sin and the Jarvan. He had the Graves, and he read Warden like a book. I mean, we just saw London have a great performance there. Barrage smashed that same team yesterday in such a decisive manner that it sets up how strong Barrage are looking, even after just that one game.
I think actually speaking to Chimera, he obviously just thought that was a bit of a draft difference. They didn't have any prio, which allowed Afro Boy the space to just go crazy versus the Kindred. Demo's the kind of jungler, though, that if he thinks that there is a potential for him to go aggro, he'll just do it. Like on that Lee Sin, he'll just try and find the edge where he can in the 1v1, or he'll try and find those early ganks. So I'm not expecting like the similar kind of draft styles from both those two teams. But like I said, I think Barrage definitely looked unlocked yesterday. The question is, was that a one-off, or have Barrage actually turned a corner? Because that was the first win of the entire UKLC for Barrage. So we're really going to have to keep eyes on if that is a genuine sort of permanent change for their roster, or they're going to slip back, versus Bulldog. And Bulldog quite clearly at this point need the win. Like if they don't start getting wins now, we're heading to halfway through the season where they will not have a single win under their belt, and that's basically looking like you're out of contention for any kind of playoff position or whatever. So it's going to be all or nothing, I think, for Bulldog from almost every game onwards here. And that's going to be a rough spot for them. A lot of pressure on the shoulders of Demo, who's just come onto the roster. But this is probably the best team. If you're looking to start momentum, you're looking to start to get a win, this is probably going to be the best team to actually do that versus.
I mean, in fairness, I think, but I also think, you've said about, do I think this was a one-off from Barrage? I think they came to a realization they weren't setting up Afro Boy for success. And I think there is a lot of talent on this roster. I think Akers is pretty solid. I think Wojux has had some good performances, even though his champion pool doesn't sync super well with the team. And I legitimately think KDO is one of the better AD carries in the entire league. So as I feel like it was more Barrage were underperforming than yesterday. They were overperforming. I expect this to be now, maybe not quite that level because the draft did favor them, but I expect this to be more of their consistent level. And I think if Bulldog beat them here, I don't think at least my impression now, it may change when we see the game, but my impression wouldn't be, oh, I guess Barrage are bad again. It would be, okay, Bulldog have found their footing as well. And as much as I agree with you, if they do lose this game, it really puts them in a rough spot for playoff contention. A lot of teams still at 3-2. There's definitely possibilities. It does get tighter though after this. I think if you lose this game, you're really hoping not just for you to have a good run, but also for other teams to lose to set you up for success. So important game here for Bulldog. And if they manage to do it, I don't think we can detract from that because Barrage have such a low scoreline, because I think the game yesterday, their most recent form is really what I'm looking at and how they've been performing.
I guess when you set the bar high, you expect them to continue to meet that bar, right? And that's what we're expecting from Barrage coming into this one. Okay, guys, we're going to go to a quick break. When we're back, it will be picks and pans. Picks and bans, they have started. We are locked in. Barrage versus Bulldog. Bulldog will be on the blue side, Barrage on the red, and the first ban is Callista.
Yeah, obviously, a lot of priority on that champion, Varus as well. These 80 carries can be super threatening. Callista not had a ton of success so far today. Vayne coming out as a ban.
Interesting, Vayne. Why would we think Vayne?
Not too sure. Maybe something KDO is potentially leaned towards. Bit curious for me. Senna as well. There's just a lot of 80 carry bans coming out in this situation. Some of them understandable, the Aphelios and the Varus in particular, but the rest I'm not as convinced on. I feel like Senna isn't really up there with a ban. Although if a following for the course, this will be Ezreal, but it isn't. They're going for the Nidalee, so it's an interesting sort of priority to eliminate some of those 80 carries. And we see the Ornn come in here for Kara. So for me, I think Kara has been one of the rough points for Bulldog. I think that having the Ornn for him is a pretty strong pickup. You've eliminated potentially some threats to it, like the Vayne and the Aphelios. But in response, Barrage Academy take Graves Ezreal. And with the amount of 80 carry bans already being placed, that's a really strong rotation.
Yeah. This is definitely a unique draft from Bulldog. Now it's up to demo. He's definitely had a gauntlet thrown at him with the Graves. It's going to be a Kai'Sa lock-in. Not often that we get to see the Kai'Sa coming out. That's going to be an interesting one. She's not considered particularly strong in the meta right now. Definitely not up anywhere near where she used to be. Makes sense if this is going to be the Lee Sin. This is kind of Demo's pick of choice. So if he locks it in, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm just really confused. I'm not sure what Bulldog plan is here in this situation. Maybe going heavily for comfort, but I hate to say it this early, but it kind of just feels like Barrage have won draft already, just by a landslide. We'll see how things develop. Obviously, things can change as we go along, but you have Azir, Ezreal. We saw earlier today how strong that combo is with just the huge range and safety afforded to them. Graves, super powerful in the current meta. We'll have to see how things carry out. Yuumi still available to go in tandem with the Ezreal Karma as well, but there's potential other options there. But we will see the Yuumi taken away. Nautilus the ban away from working in tandem with that Kai'Sa.
Now, obviously, if we were to compare this to a traditional kind of high-level draft, we'd say, sure, like what the hell are Bulldog doing? And what Barrage have quite clearly got the better power picks here. But obviously, at this level, sometimes unique tactics or comfort picks, they have a place. Because we're not playing. I mean, everyone would be self-admitted. We're not playing the highest levels of League of Legends in Europe. So I'm not going to count Bulldog out right now, but we do have to look at it from a blank slate perspective. And obviously, Barrage Academy have got 3 incredibly powerful picks in the current meta, and now they have a choice of, I'm guessing, their support in this scenario, allowing Ak as a potential counter pick as well. Although saying that, 4 powerful picks with the Volley Bear locked in.
Yeah, I think I like the top lane here. It gives you counter pick and support, which is I think is really important, because if they go a mage, you can take a mage that has a good matchup into it. I mean, an enchanter, sorry. If they go something like, I don't know, Karma, you can take a Soraka, which is a pretty safe matchup. If they go something aggressive, you can pick, say, the Braum to counteract that. And the thing is, you expect the Ornn to be in the top lane. Volley Bear is super strong at the moment. Right now, I'm looking at 4 super strong picks for Barrage Academy. Not so convinced by Bulldog. And of course, strategies have their place. Comfort has its place. But when we're looking at the raw power the champions have, Barrage are really far ahead. And we get to see what the support pick is here for Bulldog. But when Barrage have the counter, I'm a little bit concerned.
Well, the Zoe gets locked in. Zoe is, again, a pick that has pretty good priority. It's going to be a Karma lock-in. So again, like I said, Enchanter in this bot lane. What would you look to lock in for Barrage if you're now seeing that Karma?
So I think you have options. You can go for something aggressive like the Thresh in this situation, which is still open to threaten, or you can just match it yourself. Ultimately, I don't think Rakan is the best straight-up match to a Karma, because you can use that movement speed to avoid the grand entrance. But at the end of the day, you're not going to have too much of a rough lane matchup into it, and you're going to be able to assist the rest of your team by roaming about, which typically Karma can't do as well, because as much as the shields are nice, she doesn't have that instant CC in those skirmish situations. So I think up until that last pick, I think Barrage vastly outclassed Bulldog in every regard. I think the Karma into Rakan, I'd be okay with that with Bulldog. It gives you a strong and scaling bot lane. but I'm still not completely convinced. We need Demo and Thomas Go to pop off if they are going to win this game. If they don't, I think Barrage just have it in the bag.
All right, one thing that's sticking out to me, triple teleport. Teleport on Zoe, teleport on Ornn, and also, interestingly, teleport on Karma support. What is that?
I don't know. I mean, typically, I'll be honest. I'll say it when I see it, and it's changed the ignite in the last second. You know, you gotta watch out for these sneaky things.
I forgot you can change so you can't swap after 20 seconds, but I forgot that you could change summoners whenever you like, because that makes very little difference.
So sometimes you do see the TP coming in for enchanters when they're with Senna. So when you're the farmer, when Senna's the one who's not taking the CS and is essentially the support when it's a fasting Senna, you see the TP from the support, but I'd never expect to see that when you don't have a Senna with this. So we'll see going into this game. Like I said, Lee Sin, Zoe, Demo, and Thomas Go. Demo was definitely the one initiating plays, and Thomas Go was the best performing member for Bulldog yesterday. Those two need to be taken over the game if they're going to have any chance with it. You need Zoe fed, you need Lee Sin to be strong, and then you can rely on the other three members of your team to be those scaling elements in the later stages. But I think if you don't get the momentum, then Ezreal, Azir will just be too much of an issue for you.
This is a little bit of a side note, completely unrelated to the game, but I had never really seen the Battle Academia skins before, and now I've realized quite clearly that they're based on My Hero Academia.
No way.
I had no idea.
I heard a rumor. I didn't know this was true, but Chosen Master Yi is actually based on Star Wars. Okay, this is more for, I don't know if this is actually true, but apparently King Rammus is based on Bowser, but I don't know if that one's true. That could just be a rumor.
Look, Dan, I'm not an anime man, you know? Don't really watch much anime.
You say don't really watch much? Have you watched any at all?
Dragon Ball Z. And Dragon Ball Super, obviously.
Okay. We can discuss this more in depth later. I'll have a recommended list. You know, I'll have a, this is what you watch when you're in this mood. This is what you watch when you're in that mood.
Does Rick and Morty count as anime?
I'll ask you a similar question. Does Corey in the House count as an anime?
Yes.
Then there you go.
Okay, right, let's get back to the game. I was going to watch Full Metal Alchemist, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, if I'm talking about recommending stuff, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, by far the best. And once you've watched it, you don't actually need to watch any more shows because it is the best. And if you do, you'll just be disappointed.
What about JoJo?
I mean, that one's pretty good. That one's pretty good. I won't lie, that one's pretty good too. Those are probably my top two in general at the moment, so you're hitting the right chords there.
Thanks, Dan. I'll always remember that if I ever become an anime lover.
All right. You kind of need to get into it quickly, though, because I feel like the more you age, the harder it is to get into watching anime, because there's a social stigma against all people watching anime. I personally don't agree with it, but, you know, I feel like it's harder to justify the free time.
The only thing is that when I watched Dragon Ball Z as a kid, I absolutely loved it. Then I start to watch Dragon Ball Super, and I realize how unbelievably cringy it is in certain scenarios. And like, it's just some of it's just like so insanely cringy. And I'm like, I can't actually watch this with a straight face anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I used to watch it when I was younger, and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I watch it now, and I'm like, what was wrong with me? Well, it's like, I mean, do you remember watching Power Rangers when you were a kid? I used to love that show. I'd be like, this is the greatest. Have you watched a Power Rangers episode in the past 5 years?
No.
What is going on? Honestly, like all the bad guys in it just look, it's comical. I mean, again, it's changing times. The standards have gone up, but
they have. Wait, I've got two more questions before we move on from this. Does Avatar count as anime?
Yeah, I think that one you actually get more approval for that.
Okay, because I've obviously watched both Avatar series.
I think the animation was done by a Korean studio. I think I might be wrong on that, but from what I remember, normally it tends to be if it's done by an Eastern studio, in particular a Japanese studio, they class it as anime. But it depends on whose definition you're going by, because it gets pretty vague in those regards. For me, I'm not too judgmental. If it's if it's animated and I'll just say yeah. Is SpongeBob an anime? Sure, why not?
All right. I can't remember what my other question was, so let's leave that.
If it was the Simpsons anime, then yes, absolutely.
Our producer has chimed in and said it's not actually technically anime, but it's the greatest not anime ever. Do you know what, Max? I completely agree. Avatar was one of the best shows to ever grace the screen.
And the film? Oh my! No, I
mean, controversial opinion. I preferred The Legend of Korra to Aang. As Akers gets a solo kill, I'll leave you on that bombshell because that's a huge wave he's crashed into tower as well.
Yeah, that's pretty punishing. Kara does have TP, but so he will be. Actually, it's a cannon. He's not going to miss too much, but he will miss the cannon. But just a nice solo kill from Akers, and I think he's been really a solid player for Barrage. He's in a good matchup here, playing the Volibear into the Ornn. Obviously, Volibear's super strong at the moment. And I think ultimately Kara has been a little bit inconsistent for his team, getting challenged in the 1v1 quite a bit. So, Barrage, getting off to a good start already.
Spot lane engage comes through. Beautiful double knock-up. Jacob's immediately forced back here. And Barrage starting to put the hurt on in the side lanes. And in that mid lane as well, Thomas getting pressured out a little bit by Wojux, especially in the early laning phase. Akker's not even burning his teleport to come back as well, so huge advantage still here for Barrage.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's the pace of the game, because if this mid-jungle aren't challenging, I just don't feel like Bulldog can really get back in it. It's going to get to the point where it's going to become the Jacob show, and he has to be the single carry for the entire team, and it's just too much pressure upon one person. Demo might spot this out. Oh, do it, go for it.
Oh, he smited too early, and he got locked up. I mean, very close. Yeah, never mind.
Okay, I take full responsibility. I was telling him to go for it, so that's my bad. It's okay. You get a pass on this one, Demo.
Was it worth it though? Like for a first dragon, is it worth just randomly giving a kill away here?
I mean, it's not just about the kill; it's about the mental edge. You know, you steal one dragon, and Afro Voice is never going to take another 50-50. But in honesty, no, it wasn't with that at all. You burn your flash, you die, you give a kill over to Graves, who's already ahead in farm. We said the Lee Sin needed to come out ahead. Not a great start.
So about that anime. No, I'm joking. Look, this is not great for Bulldog. I mean, if you wanted to get off on the right foot, this is definitely not the foot that you would have liked to have stepped out on. You're now almost 2,000 gold, 1,500 gold behind. 6 minutes 40 into the game, you've lost a dragon. Your jungler's down in farm. Your top laner's getting solo killed. Mid lane and bot lane are only going even at best, and they've already made a swap up 1 minute in advance of the Rift Herald spawn here, with the Rakan heading towards that top side of the map. Looking like they want to go straight in onto Kara. He's just dead, buddy. He is just dead.
I mean, there's just... What can you do against a Volibear? The tower's not even there for you. I mean, we typically see 3v1 dives very hard to defend against. But when you have the tower being cancelled out, there's just no reprieve. So really nice play from Alpaca to roam up there with the team. A little bit of a mistake at the end from Afro Boy, who ends up hitting his flash, towards the end. But ultimately, they got what they wanted. Kara, no TP, misses even more. And KDO! Oh.
But this is he's done the work that he needed to. Look at this bloody wave. I mean, Jacob can't really go back on this. I mean, KDO can very easily just try and jump in and get the Mystic shot in this situation. And this is too much farm for Jacob to miss. The Mystic shot lands. He's so close to going down here. He can't give this up. It's too much CS and too much experience. Yeah,
Garish now there, though, means he should be able to pick it up, but still zoned away from a fair bit. And KDO really challenging this 1v1 matchup. Does trade down in summoners. Just establishing dominance in the lane. Getting the mental edge.
I think the mental edge has been secured across the entire team here. Thomas Go doing his best to put pressure on. But Wojux has still got that cleanse. Also realized that the Q had already been used from Zoe, so was in no danger of going down.
Demo is now looking, but I think they're just going to try and push the wave in. Let Thomas Go get a reset if he wants it. But Afro Boy just continuing on his war against the neutral objectives, taking this Herald now. Already got a dragon under his pocket. I was like, you pick this Lee Sin for the early impact. Where is it? You know?
It's going to be the Orn Horn thrown out versus Afroboy. They do get the knock up here. They're going to just miss the Q. Looks like they're trying to put pressure onto Afroboy. I don't think he's going to get away from this very easily. I think he's already used that flash, although he has got the blast cone, but Kera will pick up the kill, and I believe the red buff steal there too. That's a little bit of a glimmer of hope that I think that Bulldog really needed in this situation.
Good punish. You often see these Graves going for these heavy engages. Obviously, when you're in a tight corridor there, Kera and Thomas go, the Zoe and the Ornn, super threatening, hard to dodge away from, and ultimately, Afroboy had to sort of back away from the Sleepy Trouble bubble, and that just meant he was never really getting out. So, nice to see a punish. I'll say definitely a positive for Bulldog, but need to see a bit more of that, a bit more momentum coming out. And in particular, Thomas Go, I think, hasn't had a bad game so far, but needs to keep finding these opportunities to challenge.
He needs to be a bit more consistent in chaining that damage together as well, because, you know, if he starts to get a lead, you know, if Zoe picks up any kind of advantage, she can be very oppressive to deal with, especially in those face check scenarios around the neutral objectives. So Thomas Go, you talked about him being a potential carry for this team. This is now his game to try and prove it. Akers, though, is just constantly piling on the pressure. I mean, you could see Kera very reluctant to get close to him, very reluctant to get toe-to-toe with this volley bear.
Yeah, and I mean, you just have to hold him at a distance. You challenge him, and he will just engage on you and cut you down.
Sounds like volley bear to me.
Yeah. Loud, angry lightning bear. Dragon spawning in a few seconds, so both top laners have TP. Kera's just coming up and can look to contest this one. Now, KDO trying to put pressure down on Jacob, but actually pretty low in terms of the mana department. Potentially could see Bulldog challenging on this one, especially if they find a pick. If Zoe's able to take someone out, TP's coming in. Looks like they're committing.
They are committing to this. Demo's going for it. Second Drake of the game. This is going to have to be something that you're very confident on winning, Bulldog. Because if you lose this here, you can't help but feel it's going to be too much to deal with coming out of it. That is a big engage. Already wipes them off the floor. Jacob just lost in the middle of the dragon pit. Forced to flash over the wall. And they shot and they missed.
Yep, they shot and they didn't even miss the barn behind it. That was really something. But a good play from Barrage. Barrage shooting fish in a barrel. Essentially, you see all of the Bulldog corralled in, focused on this dragon. And it's very easy to find this engage. And with that momentum, they're going to get a little bit damaged on the mid tower, get a couple of plates. They won't get more, but ultimately in a good spot. Well, actually, I'm saying don't get more. They will get a couple of plates here from the Herald. So really putting a lot of work in. Plates in the mid lane, plates in the bot lane.
Mate, look at the goal advantage at 12 minutes into the game. We're basically at 5k. This game feels pretty much done already. This, like, Bulldog can pack it up and go home. They lost this one draft. Like that draft, I mean, was ludicrous.
Yes, but also, why were you fighting the dragon?
It's the second dragon, right?
So one, it's a second dragon. So second dragon isn't that valuable. Typically, the dragons people start contesting are when one team has 3, because then you're concerned about them being when one team is going to get 3. So when one team already has 2 in the pocket, the third is scary. And the reason being is that once they take that one, they're always going to be one away, and you can never give over a dragon. And then obviously for them to get the 4th one, that's the important one too. So those are the ones where teams are forced to contest. Bulldog didn't need to fight this dragon. They chose to. They chose to move in and stand next to the dragon pit and fight, despite all the great AoE engage and damage coming out from Barrage, and they just stood in the middle of the river and got hit by all of it. I mean, you have a Zoe, you have a Kai'Sa, both of which can land a decent amount of poke, especially the Zoe. You have a Karma, who's great for pushing into areas. The Ornn is as well. You throw down their ultimates and you can just charge in. There is no reason you need to be at the objective first. It's just putting you in a difficult situation.
Oh, I don't know. You also first picked the Ornn, and the Ornn just got battered.
Yep.
Bulldog are definitely in a spiral right now, and they need something drastic to wake them up, because They have not looked fantastic. It's going to be a jump in here. Kera just going to surely go down. He's got the
flash.
Brilliant flash from Akers. Just flashes straight over the top. Huge amount of health regained here as well. And another solo kill for him in the bot lane.
That was really clean. Credit to Akers. Just the flash. I mean, the volley bear diving, the ultimate, isn't that impressive. But the flash, really perfect to avoid the CC. And, yeah.
It feels like the morale is gone here for Bulldog. Genuinely. We're 6.5k down now at 14 minutes into the game. This is the kind of game, if in solo queue, I'd be like, right, lads, pack it up. 5 votes for yes. 15 minutes in, let's go.
I hate to agree, but yeah. Looking really rough. And you have to ask, where's the comeback going to come from? It needs to be some big picks. It needs to be these shutdowns being cashed in on. But the problem is, despite the 7k gold lead, it's not like there's one person who has a massive amount of gold you can rely on. It's not like there's one person you can take out the game and be like, okay, you know, Azir is dead, now we win. Because Graves is strong, Volibear is strong, Azir is strong, and Ezreal is. You take out one person, there's still 3 other champions who are just going to be able to destroy you in a team fight.
Let's turn the angle away from Bulldog here and let's focus more on Barrage. We wanted to see a Barrage that has learnt from their previous games, a Barrage that has turned a corner as a team, potentially has found a new identity. Afro Boy played really well this game. Akers has been absolutely insane, obviously, in the 1v1s here. And they're not just winning, they are stomping Bulldog. Absolutely crushing them. Maybe we have seen Barrage wake up in the UKLC, really just completely turn their fortunes around here, because they look like a completely different team this week from the previous 2.
Yeah, I gotta completely agree. I mean, I think the biggest transformation has been Afro Boy. Him on the Graves is looking really strong, and when he has a team composition that allows him to flourish, when he's got, you know, a support who can play around him, when he's got priority in his lanes, he has just been delivering so heavily. The Jarvan and the Lee Sin are things of the past. When we have Afro Boy in the Graves, he's an absolute monster. So great to see. Again, see Barrage sort of find their footing in the league. And now, actually, Bulldog going to take this dragon. Barrage Academy looking like they might contest it, though.
Well, it's not going to be contested very easily here, as now Alpaca tries to get the quickness in. Demo's the first to go down, jumps straight into the fray for Akers, who gets a double kill here. And this is like shooting fish in a barrel for Barrage. They're going to pick up 4 of the 5 members of Bulldog. And they can't even take the Baron because it hasn't spawned, and it won't spawn for another 3 minutes. Why did... Like, look, maybe there was no need to contest that dragon, right? There was absolutely no need, given how far you are behind. But I guess they just thought, well, we're going to lose anyway, so...
But it's the wrong approach. Even if you think we need to start something, we need to contest them, we need to find a fight, starting the dragon is not how you do that with your team composition. You can't just start the dragon and be like, okay, we win now. Let the other team start the dragon, find good angles with the Zoe bubble, use the Karma shields to get in position and engage with Kera, and then look to punish the backline. If you just start the dragon, that is not the answer. And now they're 10,000 goal behind and things... I don't know. It just feels like they're just tunnel visioning on these dragons and like, oh, well, we have to contest them because if they get more, they'll lose. Well, you'll lose anyway by contesting them. That one was stolen by Afro Boy. I know, it just... Maybe it's Demo specifically because he seems very tunnel visioned on these dragons. Like that first one he tried to steal. They're not that important. I think more than ever, the current meta is that individual dragons aren't quite valueless, but are pretty close. They just are not enough of a factor. If you'd rather have... I mean, if it's a choice between a dragon and a 2k gold lead, it's a 2k gold lead. The only time they become relevant is when Soul is on the cards. That's why they are prioritized. You don't prioritize dragons to go, oh, you know, I get an extra 7 HP per 5 seconds from the Ocean Dragon. I don't think Bulldog are really feeling the impact of that right now. You get the dragon, so you get the soul benefit, which is just absolutely massive. And that's why I just have no idea why Bulldog are so headstrong on trying to contest these when they are not going to change the state of the game, and it's just forcing them further and further behind.
I mean, where did Bulldog go from this game in the UKLC? I mean, they're 0-6 after this. I mean, I'm saying it like it is, but they're 12k gold down at 18 minutes. Like, they've hemorrhaged like 800 gold a minute since the game started, which is just ludicrous. It's a ludicrous lead they've given up here. I mean, this is a lead that almost no one ever comes back from. I don't ever see Bulldog coming back into this game because, like you quite rightly said, no one actually carries from this point. Kai'Sa maybe, but even then, you're still dealing with great scaling of Afro Boy, Wojux, and KDO, and your Zoe falls off and your Lee Sin falls off.
Look at the item difference between the Ezreal and the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is the only person who can carry this game, but if you look at the item difference between these AD carries, it's a Manamune and a pickaxe versus a Manamune and a Triforce.
I mean, that's like a good 3,500 gold purely on KDO. 3,000 gold, something like that.
Probably a flat 3,000 just because pickaxe is worth a fair amount and he has the more expensive boots. But even so, like, it's just a staggering difference. And, you know, the Ezreal's now just picked up a Vamp Scepter, so it's getting even worse. The one thing I will say is that the level discrepancy isn't so big right now. You know, we have a level difference in mid, level difference in AD carry, 1 in jungle, 2 in top, which is a bit rougher, but it definitely could be worse. But we're only at 20 minutes in the game, so it's definitely not good by any standard. If I'm being completely brutally honest, it feels pretty dire, but if you're looking for a hope, play around the Ornn spikes when he's handing out the ornaments, facilitate the Kai'Sa to be strong, and just check the Baron. All you need to do is throw out a Void Seeker every now and then, make sure they're not doing Baron, and then challenge them on it. But I mean, they're miles away. They're miles away from this. Azir's on it. He's got Leandries. This is probably just gone if they want it.
They're at least trying to make Bulldog think they're doing. Afro Boy's going to jar Jacob. He just face checked, mate. I mean, what's the point? Was that necessary? I guess they must have thought that the Baron was going down, and Barrage, this is easy enough for them. They're just going to take a couple of kills and now could even turn straight onto the Baron themselves. I
mean, Kai'Sa has a huge range skill shot. She can just fire into the Baron to check. And now Demo's going to be found. Akers is, I mean, yeah. He's got to find a miracle here.
I think Demo's just dead. He won't even be able to smite this one away. Kera and Thomas go on the sidelines. Maybe some sort of ridiculous Ornn ultimate can get the work done here, but he gets knocked up when it comes through. Thomas Go can't steal. Red team will secure the Baron here. Barrage take it down. The shutdown is there. Kera will trade another bite back, but it won't be enough, realistically, to shut down the charge of Barrage, who have got a Baron to work with now.
It's rough. Definitely rough. I mean, they just face checked in. Demo was trying to get in position to steal it away. Wasn't really an option. If they can get the dragon here, that's something, but it doesn't really change anything. Just delays the dragon soul. And I mean, with Afro Boy coming, I don't even think that's going to happen.
You're never getting. You're never getting. What is no? I mean, is there a point? Maybe a crazy steal from Demo. Doesn't even get it. He's just dead. Akers will pick it up. I guess there's just this. It's just like the Hail Mary of we have to try, because if they get more dragons, dragons bad.
I mean, at least with this one, you know, they're already 13,000 gold behind. Demo probably isn't worth that much, so what's an extra 100 gold? And in fairness, that was their third dragon, so at least it's not... I'm not saying it's great, I'm not saying there's a high chance of them stealing it, but at least I can understand the thought process there. But earlier in the game, when the game was more even, it just handed the game to the side. And now they're just going to push it mid, and... I was talking about how the level discrepancy isn't that big. It's now 3 levels jungle, 2 levels mid, 2 levels AD, on top of the 14,000 gold lead now. I don't see it.
This Baron might be enough to just completely break every inhibitor on the side of Bulldog. I don't even see them winning a 4v5 in this scenario. KDO is just hitting so hard. Doesn't even have that Death's Dance finish, but he's certainly doing the work. And Akers is just happy to sit on the sidelines. Ornhorn's going to come through. They're going to try and find the engage. He'll get the knock up onto Afro Boy. Also, I mean, look at the damage onto Jacob, who tries to step forward. A couple of soldiers and half his HP just chunked out. They're going to be forced back. They're going to lose the bot lane inhibitor. Finally, Akers can join the team. And this is surely going to be the end of the game or thereabouts, as Barrage have got every single inhibitor destroyed and Bulldog really don't feel like they have a hope in the world.
Last-ditch effort has to come in now.
Because it's that ultimate, he's going to zone away, pulling that Thunderbolt down, jumps onto Thomas Go, who instantly dies. Alpaca gets the knockup, but they're going to focus the turrets, which have been disabled by the Volley Bear. Double kill onto Demo, their Nexus exposed, 25 minutes. Not even that is all that Barrage needed, and Bulldog will go 0-6 in the NLC, and Barrage, they look like a different team.
Going into this week, we had 2 teams with 0 wins, and I think the difference between them now is just staggering. Bulldog haven't found their footing. The addition of Demo hasn't changed things, and ultimately, I feel the change in Barrage, despite no roster swaps, has just been absolutely massive. They look like a really solid team, and as much as watching that game, it felt, like we're getting a bit down on it. It was a very one-sided map, but I think that's just a huge omen for Barrage, who at the start of this week, they were 0-4. They've now got 2 wins under their belt. They've got some momentum, and they look like a really convincing team. They know how to push their advantage, and as much as Bulldog did give them a lot of opportunities, I still think we have to give a lot of praise to Barrage.
I agree. I think, like I said, it's not worth focusing on the negative side of things here. We've got to focus on the story of Barrage's turnaround, because Afro Boy looks like a different jungler. Akkas has been very, very consistent. And KDO, especially on the Ezreal, I think that was 2 Ezreal games in a row for him this week where he looked like a solid player, like a really solid player in that instance as well. Honestly, the real highlight on this has just been how good Barrage look, and obviously we could talk all in the world, we could analyze Bulldog, figure out what's going wrong with them, but that game, just they didn't even look like they turned up to play. I mean, that's like a horrible way of saying it, but it looked like, even from the draft, I mean, you could pick that draft apart and the way that they prioritized their champions, they just didn't turn up, and Barrage quite clearly did. Now the question I have for you is, that was a similar draft for Barrage. Like that, in terms of the formula that worked for them, it was very similar to the one that we saw them win with yesterday. Is that it? Is that the extent of what Barrage can achieve, or is it just the case if we just have to wait and see?
I think we have to wait and see. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that their drafts have been substantially better. And as much as it may be similar, it's like, if you're finding something that's really strong and it's not being challenged, then keep working on it. And there may be a time, maybe it's next week, maybe it's the following week, maybe it's as late as playoffs, where Barrage do get challenged in that regard. Someone works up a strategy to beat them. And I think it's then that we'll see them sort of diversify more and see if there is more to the Barrage than just what they've shown so far. But ultimately, what they've shown so far is damn good. So I think you just keep doing it when it comes to these games on the stage, whereas in the scrimmage, you can keep practicing alternatives, have something in your back pocket. And I guess until we get to the point that they're challenged, that's when we'll see it. Yeah,
I think you quite clearly summed it up. One of the things that I would say is our interview is going to be with Afro Boy. I think we need to talk a little bit about him as a jungler. He seems to have gained confidence in the way that he's been playing. You had a lot of questions about Afro Boy previously. Is this a case of his lanes just now facilitating him? Is it a case of draft strong lanes for Barrage and you can unlock Afro Boy? That seems to be the formula.
I think definitely more so. The team is playing more for the jungler to contest these neutral objectives, to contest these camps. He's playing the style that is more suitable to the current meta. If it was a year ago, then you would be playing things like the Lee Sin and the Job and he opened the split with. You would be looking to gank and set up your laners. That is not the state of the game anymore. Graves is strong and you need to at least facilitate him. I'm not saying you need to hard force everything into the jungle, but he has to have the opportunity to challenge enemy jungler, because we get situations like that where the Lee Sin becomes completely irrelevant and the Graves becomes a powerhouse. So I think he's definitely sort of found his place in the meta. I think they're playing more to it, and I think it's a factor of him finding the confidence, not being as pressured to have to force ganks, and also just the team facilitating him. I think it's a multitude that have come together.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with Bulldog, so I'm just not even going to touch on it. We'll have to analyze them again next week.
Stop fighting for those dragons.
We'll come back and see what they bring next week. We're going to go to a quick break. When we're back, we'll interview Afro Boy and we'll gear up for our final game of the night. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with Afro Boy from the Barrage. Obviously, they got the win there over Bulldog. It was pretty clean, realistically, and Barrage definitely looking like they've turned a corner. Afro Boy, something that I guess surprised us this week is just how good you looked. You looked incredibly good on the Graves over the last 2 games. Has this been a change in the way that you've been approaching the game? Has it been a change in draft style? Like, what's been done to allow you to unlock yourself in the jungle?
First of all, hi guys, but there's been so many changes. Like, it's I think the biggest change is just that we start trusting each other more, and it's really one call, and if it's that call, we just follow through. And yeah, usually I haven't been getting these cool picks, I would say, like Grace. It has just been Jarvan and some other virgin picks, I would say, but and we were kind of handicapped in draft because people wouldn't really trust me on like picks like Graves, I would believe. But now we, I don't know, we are like 0-4, we've got nothing to lose, so we might as well just pull it out, and it's really looking good, so I can't argue.
That's fair enough. I wanted to ask more about the draft. So obviously, for me, I feel like the past couple of days, the draft has been a lot more on point with regards to where it is in the meta and how you're reacting to the team. Has something changed within the team with how you do in the draft, or is it just been you trying new things?
Yeah, it's really, I don't know, I would say it's us trying new things, maybe just being more confident in our approach. Since we've got nothing to lose, we're basically that man, you know? Like, yeah, Grace pick, usually we wouldn't go for it. But this time it's just like, yeah, give him Grace whatever, we can't lose. Like, we've really got nothing to lose, we're just broken, man. And it almost looked like the approach, like the draft approach from yesterday, but it was also because Bulldogs really just gave us everything we wanted, and they banned Wayne and some other picks that were confusing, but I guess...
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that either. Is there something, can I ask the Vayne? Because we were kind of confused. Could you make any sense of it, or...?
No, we really couldn't. I guess they just had first pick anyways, and they didn't care. So yeah, but if you're first pick, you're just leaving everything open and looking for trades, I guess. I don't know.
But then they first pick Ornn, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
If they ban Wayne, Ornn is free tank. And maybe they baited us into Ezreal, actually, and thought that we wouldn't have DPS, so Ornn can shine, but Ornn is really bad into mobile picks, so I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
It's really difficult to know what to talk about with that game because it was such a stomp. Like it really was basically over from about 12 minutes into the game, like even probably before that. So it's really difficult to like analyze. But obviously, the main story for you guys has been just how you have transformed as a team. Is this something that you think you can continue through the rest of the split? Is this something that from now on out, we're going to see a different Barrage?
Yeah, it sure is. I don't know. We are. Like, all the losses welded us so hard together. It's really amazing. Like, usually teams would be like, okay, Afro Boy ain't looking too good, maybe swap him out, look for something new, but we really, like, hold hands together. We didn't stop trying. We just analyzed. Also, shout out to our coaches, of course. And we really focused on what the mistake was and just improved on it. And now, I don't know, it was so weird because in scrims we were stomping even stronger teams, in my opinion. And then on matches we were so choking. But now it's, I don't know, it's looking good. We are reformed, boys. We are ready to shine.
Good to hear. I wanted to ask, obviously, is there anyone in your team in particular who's been like a real pleasure to play with, maybe just from the insight they've offered or their mentality when you've been struggling?
I would say who isn't. I don't know, it's really amazing. Like, I'm usually used to AD carries who have like a really big ego, and Connor is just really a team player. He doesn't mind if he's Ezreal and I'm not permitting bot, so he can do his thing. Because usually ADCs are like, yeah, strong side bots, full tank top, thank you. But I can also play around Eckers. Eckers is basically also, he's getting really confident lately. He's basically calling all the engages, and we, like, before we have also called a lot, but the change is that we just trust each other. Eckers says, I'm going in, we all going in. Also, like, if you realized yesterday, there was this Baron call who was like, it was kind of weird, some would say. But I don't know, Connor said, do Baron, we all did Baron. We are basically like one unit, you know? That's why we're looking so strong.
Just united there with the brain link in the game.
Yeah, and for mid laner, I don't know. He's like a little brother to me because, I don't know, he's not young, but he sounds so young. And he's also kind of nervous because he's also a rookie. So he's really cool, and support also always a pleasure to play with. I don't know, I wouldn't change anyone. as I said,
that's
the
nice to
losses
hear.
really sweated us together. We are like a whole new team now, and
This
it's
is
really
the most wholesome-
appreciative that nobody is blaming each other if we play bad or do. For example, when I entered in their jungle, it's not like, oh, come on, Afro or something. I know I'm sometimes limit testing a bit, but yeah.
It's the most wholesome interview we've ever had on the UKLC, mate. Thank you so much, Afro, and I hope you guys do continue this form going into the next week. I'm sure we'll see much more of Barrage doing well, and thanks for joining us.
Oh.
Yep, follow Afroboy on Twitter. There you go. We'll leave you on that bombshell. We'll see you after the break. We're going into our final game, Envision versus Monster.